let's get into the match review from last night. Obviously, it was a complete shit show from start to finish. I mean, you could tell it was going to be a disjointed performance right from the off, couldn't you? I mean, we were shocking, couldn't put two passes together. Balls were just bouncing off many of our players, including Dele Alli, Harry Kane, Ollie Skip, you know. Balls were just bouncing off our players, couldn't put two passes together with 2 or 3 passes together. And there was just nothing, no cohesion in that team. No patterns of play, nothing. I couldn't see anything in that team from the personnel on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah, and I felt like yesterday was a really good opportunity for a few players to at least show that they're willing to fight for their place in the team. Even I know it's Mura, and I know it's not a game where they're going to be excited about and things like that, but you have to come to these games correct, and especially with a new manager at the helm. With a game where we needed a result to make sure we're qualifying for the next round, against a team who are in Slovenia they're not even playing their full strength team, and they're on a losing streak. Like, there's no excuse, and yet we couldn't even come with the minimum amount of effort to make this game manageable. And I think the team that was selected. I think he wanted to. I think Conte's still trying to work out his squad, and he wanted to see what they have to offer. And I think for me, for the back three, he'll be really disappointed in terms of their lack of composure, their lack of quality on the ball, their lack of willingness to step into midfield and join the attack and be brave in that sense. I think he'll be disappointed with what he saw from his centre back options. I think in midfield, Ndombele and less to a lesser extent Skip, but more Ndombele, weren't able to hang on to the ball with any sort of regularity. They were very easily dispossessed and were very easily losing the ball very cheaply. Same goes for the front three. I thought Gil, Kane and Dele very sloppy on the ball. I think Dele to a more extent than the other two, because I think the other two at least were looking to try things and move the ball forward and get passes forward. Dele was I thought was by far the worst of the three up front of there. I thought he was absolutely shocking. Didn't do one good thing, I think, throughout the whole time he was on the pitch. I can't remember anything he did.
I think in the first half there were like 1 or 2 like nice touches, but apart from, I mean, the guy did not impact anything. Did not do anything to impact that game yesterday.
I can't remember any passes forward he made or any attempted shots or anything like that. At least Kane, yeah, he was sloppy, but like he was trying to pass the ball forward and trying to make things happen. Like Dele there was nothing there. Yeah. There was just nothing there. Gil as well. I think at least with him, he was doing a few nice dribbles and stuff and trying to make things happen.
He got in a good position. I know he sliced his shot that went over the bar, but at least he got into that position to try and impact something.
And it was obviously not good enough from any of them, but at least from the Kane and Gil, I'm seeing a bit of like willingness to try and make stuff happen. Dele, I didn't see anything. Honestly, I didn't see anything from him yesterday to show me that he's serious about getting back into the first team. When it comes to Session and Doherty, obviously Session got sent off after half an hour with let's be honest, 2 challenges, which the first one, he's stopping a counter, gets a booking, that's fair enough, but like when you're on a yellow to lunge in like that is so stupid. It's the most stupid thing. It reminded me of Tanganga one against Palace, very similar of what he did. And it's just ridiculous when you're on a yellow to be lunging in like that. And I thought it was a tiny bit harsh, but you can't have any complaints if he makes any sort of contact when you're as late as he was. Then you can't have any complaints about getting sent off, in my opinion. And
some of the touches from some of our players, like
lazy,
like Doherty, especially Doherty. Oh my God! Some of the touches he was doing last night.
Doherty was probably the one player actually who found himself in the most positions in the final third, like with a lot of possession.
How many times did he find himself in good positions on that right hand side, like far down the pitch? And what did he do with it?
Nothing.
What did he do with it?
Nothing.
It was so frustrating watching Matt Doherty. I mean, how many chances are we going to give this guy? And it's carbon copy after carbon copy after carbon copy of performances from that guy.
Even against Mura, he can't impact the game. It's unbelievable. It's
I don't remember one good performance he's had for us, ever.
No. I think his best performance has ever been like a 6 out of 10. That's like he's been the best.
Yeah, and that's probably like few and far between as well.
Exactly. Even those games are rarity. And I think this is I don't know. And it was embarrassing enough that we needed to get those 4 players on like Son and Højbjerg and whoever else we brought on in the second half. It was embarrassing. We needed them, but we didn't even win the game. We didn't even get the draw. The funny thing is, like, first of all, Sanchez lets the player cut inside for the first goal, which is bad enough. But you forgive him because first of all, it was a great goal, and second of all, he slipped. So whatever, you just about, it's not good enough, but you just about say, okay, it is what it is with that. But for Sanchez to let him do it again in the final kick of the game, that's unacceptable. And this is a £40 million defender who's been given a lot of opportunities at Tottenham.
And he's been given a lot of praise this season.
A lot of praise, yeah. For a lot of his performances, but to be doing that, he didn't look. I think maybe you can put it down to him being on the left-hand side, because again, he didn't look comfortable when he was on the left-hand side, but how he doesn't have the basics of the defending in those situations to make sure the player doesn't cut inside and gets a good shot on goal and doesn't force him out wide and force the angle is quite honestly, it's schoolboy stuff. It was comical.
Sanchez on 45 million is over like triple what the whole Mura team are worth.
Yeah,
over triple what the whole Mura team. Let that sink in for a second, and look what he does on the pitch yesterday to gift them 2 goals.
Yeah,
he's worth almost triple what the Mura squad are worth. It's a joke.
It's ridiculous.
It's an absolute joke. That whole Mura team, that whole Mura squad is worth $7.5 million.
Surprised it's that much, honestly.
$7.5 million. Harry Winks is probably worth double that.
And then, the funny thing is yesterday that the results were actually going in our favour. Even though we couldn't get the win against Mura, which is embarrassing enough, the Rennes drawing 3-3 with Vitesse actually put us in a decent position. It meant if we can grab the draw, we could still top the group, and if we take the point going into the last game. And we couldn't even hang on to the point against Mura. We couldn't even hang on to the 1-1 draw, which would have been a good result. Even when we get given a gift from Vitesse for grabbing that elite equaliser, we still couldn't do our part. And all we had to do was actually get a draw against Mura. That's all we had to do going into that final game, and we couldn't even do that. That is how embarrassing it was yesterday. And the group is now not looking great for us. And we having to beat Rennes is not even though they're already through. It doesn't matter. Mura already out, so clearly it doesn't make too much of a difference to us at the moment. Yeah, I think playing Rennes in the final group game is having to win is not a position we want to be in, and there's a lot being said over the past 20 however few hours about this Conference League, whether it is too much. It's
more hassle than it's worth.
More hassle than it's worth, and I'm honestly starting to. I've always believed it was. Once Conte came in, I thought maybe it could have a bit more value, but I would have thought Conte could have got a bit more out of these fringe players than Nuno has. But the fact that he can't is maybe telling me that it's not worth it, this competition, because first of all, what it takes away from the training on the pitch when if we're having 1 game a week. We're going to get up to speed a lot quicker than we were if we're always having to use resources for this Conference League. And also, we've proven now, this is fact, we can't get through this competition without playing our full team. It's now fact now. We've proven it time and time and time again. Passos, Vitesse, Rennes, and now Mura. Every time we rest players, we can't get a result every single time. So I think it's proven enough that we can't get we're gonna have to use a significant amount of resources in this competition if we want to get through and win the competition. And is it worth it? There's not much money in it. The prize isn't great. Getting Europa League football. It takes away from vital time we could have on the training pitch with Antonio Conte, and it also takes away resources which we'll need to improve our league position and fight for other trophies which are more worth having. And honestly, I don't know if this if we beat Rennes, we're gonna have to play another playoff to get into the last 16 or whatever it is. This competition is starting to be too much of a drain on this squad, I believe.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
To be honest, it's hard to argue against that. I was kind of one of the biggest advocates, well, not an advocate for the Conference League, but I wanted to win it, and I wanted to win a trophy at the end of the day. And I thought, especially when we had Nuno, I thought it was more important to win it because we weren't guaranteed to get into the Europa League next season. And to be honest, we're still not guaranteed to get into the Europa League next season. Let's be honest, are we? So, me personally, I still want to go out and win the tournament. I really do. I think that just because we're not guaranteed a top 6 finish, it's another route into European football.
Yeah,
next
but
season.
if we go, the fact of the matter is, in this competition with the squad we have at the moment, we're going to have to prioritise. That's just the reality. And if you want to win this competition, you're going to have to play a full strength team throughout it. That's just the way it is. And if we do that, then you're sacrificing.
I don't think we're going to need to play a completely full strength.
I think
team.
It's proven now, mate. I think it's proven that we do. It's proven.
Why is it proven that we can't rest 1 or 2 players?
It's proven. We've rested,
players?
and we keep not getting the results.
We've never taken a team from the Premier League and go to the Conference League and only rest 2 or 3 players. We've always rested 6 or 7 or 8 players. That's what the case has been.
Well, then you're playing a full strength team. If you're only resting 1 or 2 players, that's pretty much playing a full strength team. It's still commit. You're still going to have to play Kane and Son. You're going to have to play both of them. That's pretty much. It
also
proven.
depends on what we do in January as well.
It
also depends on what we do in January as well.
Of course it does, but as it stands with the squad we have at the moment, you're going to have to commit serious resources to this competition to win it, and I just don't think it's worth it. I'd rather commit the resources to the league campaign and the domestic competitions rather than this competition. It's not worth it. And also, if we're out of the competition, then you will see an acceleration in how we're getting up to speed with how Conte wants us to play and everything. It's well known that Conte is a very good training ground manager. It's well known that when you've got 1 game a week, you get a lot more time on the training pitch instead of having to do the recovery and all that and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, yeah, they're professionals, able to play 2 games a week, but it's not that simple when you're playing Thursday and then you're playing Sunday. So you have Friday to recover. You maybe have 1 day on Saturday to train, and then you're playing again on Sunday. That's not a lot of time. That really is not a lot of time. At least if we had a whole week, then you literally can commit that whole week to the training pitch rather than splitting your resources with this Conference League and then going back maybe 1 day training. You have to recover all this kind of stuff, and we have to play with the most of our full strength team because of our squad's not good enough. So I don't know. I see it as too much of a distraction, which isn't worth it, in my opinion. This distraction is, if it's Europa League, I agree with you. Let's commit to it. Let's play a full strength team. Let's win the thing. But this Conference League is not worth it. It's just not worth it. There's no prestige. There's no history to this competition. It's literally just been created out of thin air by UEFA for absolutely no reason. There's no money to be won. You win 10 million for winning the whole thing, which is literally nothing. Let's be honest. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. 10 million for winning the whole competition. You win a Europa League spot, which if we commit our resources to the league campaign, I'm certain we'll get a top 6 finish and we'll get a Europa League spot. I am certain of that. If we're playing 1 game a week, there's no doubt in my mind. If we're playing our full team week in, week out, we'll get a top 6 finish. I'm no doubt about it. And I just feel like I'm getting sick of this competition, to be honest. I'm getting sick of it. I don't like watching the games. I think these players aren't bothered about it, which is bad enough. And I don't know. I just feel like this competition is way too much trouble. Then I just can't see the upside. There's too much downside to the upside. The upside is, we win a trophy. That's literally the only upside, and that's all great. But like, is this what we want to pin our hopes on, winning the Conference League?
I don't think you want to pin your hopes on winning the Conference League. That's not something to pin your hopes in.
That's what you're doing, though, if we're going to win it, if we want to win it.
But I want to win every competition. It's not like I only want to win the Conference League, and that's it.
Yeah, but my point is you have to prioritise. I
want to prioritise. I want to prioritise every other trophy. It doesn't mean I don't want to win the Conference League. You know what I mean? If I had the choice, if it come down to it, and they told me you can only play a stronger team in the league, or you can only play a stronger team in the Carabao or the FA Cup over the Conference League, I would pick the other 3. But I think that with the fitness regimes that these players are on, they're supposed to be getting to their fittest levels that they've been on since the prime Poch and stuff like that. Then I think we can. I wouldn't say play a completely strong team in the Conference League, but I'd play a mix and match team. I really would.
We've been playing a mix and match teams, and we've been losing. We're nearly out of the group stage.
So if we go out, so be it.
Good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, if you want to win this competition, if you're serious about winning this competition, you're going to have to play a full strength team. That's my point. You're going to have to. I think it's proven now. I think that's just fact. We're going to have to play a full... Like, our squad is not good enough where we can mix and match and expect to just walk through the competition.
Yeah,
I think it's not good enough.
I think it all depends on what we do in January. Obviously, right now, you're completely right. It's not good enough. And every time these players step onto the pitch, they completely fall flat on their asses. But if we can bring in a couple of players in January, can beef up the squad a bit, can add a little bit of quality to this squad, then maybe we can fight on all fronts. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in January.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what we do in January. But right now, I'm honestly not bothered about it. I think it's probably tomorrow. Not only am I not bothered about exiting this competition, I think it's better for us if we do. I think it's better for the team if we're out of this competition. I don't think it's worth it. I think there's the cons don't outweigh the pros in being in this competition. That's just how I see it. We did do a poll actually on Twitter. Bob Spurs sent a super chat, says poll time, rather stay in the Conference League or out. We did do a poll on Twitter. We can't get up, can we? Unless I join a rendezvous. I'll just read it. I guess there's been 700, and I just saw 750, but then it's gone down. That doesn't make sense. Here we go. 747 votes as of now. It says after yesterday's result, it's become clear that Spurs can't get through this competition without playing their full team. If Spurs go out, it would give the players more time on the training pitch with Conte to get his ideas across. Are Spurs better off out of the Conference League in the long term? And there's been 747 votes. 52% say yes, we're better off out of the Conference League, and 47.9% say no, we need a trophy. So go over to Twitter and get your votes in and let your voices be heard. Obviously, the vote is open until the end of until tomorrow. So I'm interested to see if there's a lot more votes. What people are saying at the moment, it's still fairly tight. 52% saying they would rather be out of the Conference League at the moment, which is interesting because at the beginning of the season, I think most people say they would rather not be. Obviously, they would rather be in it, but right now, there's only a slight majority.
What was the majority at the start of the season? Sorry,
I think
in or out.
I think at the beginning of the season it was in. I think if I'm right, I don't 100% remember, but I
think it was always 50-50. To be fair,
it was always tight, but I think it was like slightly in favour of in, and now it's slightly in favour of out. But
I think if we would have won in the last 10-15 years a couple of trophies, then it would be a resounding no. I do believe that, but because we're so kind of struggling for trophies, haven't won one trophy or two trophies in the ENIC tenure, you know what I mean? I think if we would have won a couple under Poch, won that Carabao last year, I don't think people would be so desperate for a trophy, and it wouldn't matter so much to the fan base. Because we're so starved of success, starved of trophies, I think it's become a bit more important because of that.
I get that. No, I completely understand that. Of course, I want a trophy as well, but this is not the way I want it. And obviously, who am I to pick and choose what trophy I want? Obviously, I just think for where we want to be as a club in progression, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
What's more embarrassing, going out of this competition or winning this trophy or winning this?
Yeah, look, going out. Well, no doubt about it. If we go out the group stage, and it's going to be embarrassing. And
even if we go out in the knockouts, it's embarrassing.
Anywhere. But if we go out, it's going to be embarrassing. I'm not going to deny that. But if it gets us into a position in the league where we're much more competitive, and if it allows us to commit more resources to a domestic competition like a Carabao or FA Cup or whatever, then people forget it very quickly. If we finish top four, no one's gonna remember we went out the Conference League. That's how I see it.
Obviously a big if though, isn't it?
Massive if. It's a massive if, but I would rather try my luck at that than then committing so much resources to the Conference League and then not even winning that. You know what I mean? Like, when it gets to a final...
The same argument when we rested those 11 players against Vitesse, and we went, you were like, oh, I don't mind resting these 11 players if we go out and we put a strong team and win against West Ham, but we ultimately lost both games.
Correct.
And I can see the same thing happening. We throw away the Conference League and then we don't even finish top four.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a possibility, but I'd rather have a better go. I'd rather give myself a better chance of finishing top four than give myself a better chance of winning the Conference League. That's just how I see it. There's not the upsides of finishing top four are a lot higher than winning the Conference League, a lot higher. So obviously there's nothing guaranteed in football, but I just think this Conference League is I think what we need to do to win it is just not worth it. to what it's going to probably ruin, in my opinion, the rest of their campaign. I think we're gonna completely, because we just need to prioritize. And I think if we don't prioritize the other things, then they're going to fall by the wayside in lieu of trying to win this third-rate European competition, which is, we could win it, all well and good, but if we win it, we get a trophy, but that's all you get, pretty much. All you get is a trophy, nothing else. No one's going to really care about it. No one's going to join you because you're Conference League holders, you know what I mean? No,
What's the difference then between the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup?
It's got a bit more prestige about it.
What do you get, though? You get the same prize.
A bit more prestige.
There's less money.
There's less games to play. So it's not, you don't have to commit as many resources to winning those competitions. Those competitions have more prestige than the Conference League. And I'd rather win them in terms of domestic. They're probably harder in terms of like the teams you have to face a lot of the time. Obviously, yeah, it's very similar. All you get is a trophy, but
we have a terrible league campaign, right? Just for argument's sake, right? Let's say we finish 7th or 8th or whatever, 8th or 9th, for argument's sake. We win the Carabao Cup. We're back in the bloody Conference League next year.
Yeah, and it will be a bad season.
So if it comes to that stage and I'd
rather finish top 4 than win the Carabao.
Would you, if it comes to the stage though where we're not doing very well in the league and we get to the Carabao Cup final, would you still want us to win that tournament knowing we're going to be back in the Conference League next year?
Yes, because I think it depends. Obviously, if we're in a final or something, I want us to win the trophy. I want us to win the trophy. Of course, I do. Of course, I still want to win a trophy, and I think the Carabao Cup, as much as it's the least of the domestic cups, it's still.
I would prefer to win the Conference League than the Carabao Cup. I would prefer to win the FA Cup more than the Conference League. That's just my opinion.
I think when you're comparing Conference League to Carabao, it's splitting hairs. Honestly, there's not much difference in it. I think I'd rather win the Carabao just because there's less games, and we have to win another 10 games if we're going to win the Conference League. It's like we have to win another 3 if we're going to win the Carabao. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier for our squad to manage that. The Conference League is just too much effort. It's too much. There's too much strain on the squad to if we're going to win this competition, and it's going to spoil everything else. It's going to spoil our league campaign if we really commit to winning it. I really believe that.
All right, well, let's move on. That is our match review from last night. It turned into a bit of a Conference League debate as always.